I'm Clemens Auer. I'm the Director General of the Ministry of Health in Austria, and I'm also in charge of preparing the Austrian presidency, EU presidency, which will take place in the second half of 2018. See, because even in the high-income countries, the business case of the pharmaceutical industry, or in general, the business case for medicines is not working anymore, because the last developments, even in a high price or a high income country, the increases in costs are killing us, to be honest and frank and honest. And so even we have to change the game, and we are in the process of changing the game. And I think this document, this high-level document, is a very helpful document because it's highlighting a lot of policy options. And the discussion is much broader than only this UN paper, because we have a very similar discussion now within the Ministers' of Health Council in the European Union. And we also have a very, very interesting and a very similar discussion within the framework of OECD. Within the Ministers' Council there, the health ministers, and OECD is also working on this whole set of policy recommendations, which are very similar to the UN one, and but maybe a little bit more practical, a little bit more advanced. And that's the significance of the work which was published in 2016, and it will be carried on into much more detailed and much more advanced policy action. Insofar, was a good starting point. We have to take on these policy recommendations, which are very generic, on a very abstract level, and now fill them up with action and concrete regulation. For example, one good example is, we have to change the public R&D mechanisms towards pharmaceuticals or medicines in general. We have to align it with the needs of the health sector, which is not the case. We're spending lots of money. OECD says, at least 30% of funds in the R&D sector and the medicine sector are public. So we're spending lots of money, and we don't know if this money is spent in the interest of the healthcare sector. So that's one good example where we really have to change the governance. So I love to talk about policy failures, and this is one of the policy failures, where the Ministers of Health, or me, DGs in the Ministries of Health, we haven't cared about that. We never talked about that fact with our colleagues in the ministries of technology or science or whoever is in charge of these R&D funds. So this is what we really have to change, for example.